Oh, yeah, somebody at the office has COVID right now, and it's the first time you got it.
Yeah, we have it in February,
I had it, it's really well.
and, I had a runny nose, and I kind of always have a runny nose. And really watery eyes, and a little hint of a scratchy throat.
Yes.
Think we have everything right?
That was it.
Wow.
I call that Tuesday.
Because I had it, Cheryl tested,
Right,
and of course she tested positive,
with no symptoms.
and that was the only symptom she had was the positive test. Again in October, and had really mild symptoms,
Yeah.
and I didn't get it from her. It was a minor miracle.
Yeah, my son, we all got it, my 2-year-old.
Double check.
He just wanted to sleep. He just kept going, like, he takes one nap a day, it's like 7 naps a day. And the next day he was fine.
Call the order.
And kids, they don't know they're different from anybody else.
I think we're gonna get started.
Gavel. Louder. Okay, this is the Wednesday, December 7th hearing of the German Village Commission. Next business meeting is Wednesday, December 21st at 12 o'clock in this room. And the hearing after that will be Wednesday, January 4th, 2023, also in this room. It's the first thing we do is swear in staff. Raise your right hands.
Nolan Hershaw. I do.
And your position.
Planner two.
Morgan Graff, Associate Preservation Planner, and I do.
Okay. And just a roll call of commissioners present.
Burial.
Foley.
McCoy. Durst.
That was the
Chair.
easiest way we ever did that.
Okay. Yeah, any items for public forum?
In public forums.
Staff approvals? What page do they start on?
They're on page 6 of it.
Yes, page 6.
Correct.
Anyone have any recusals or?
Madam Chairman, I think I have to recuse from GB-22-12-013, 790 South 6th Street.
I don't see any from you, I think I'm good.
I have a recusal for GB 22-12-001, 306 East Beck Street. And then I don't have the application numbers written down for these. I have 322 East Beck Street and 576 Cedar Alley. I can look those up. Okay.
Yeah.
You can get them.
I believe I'm okay. So is there a motion to ratify?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Second, yeah.
Okay, staff recommendations are ratified. Hey, certificates of appropriateness.
Before we continue, just approval of meeting minutes.
Oh, meeting minutes, that's right. Okay, does anyone have any comments from the November 7th meeting minutes?
No, I'll motion to approve.
Second.
No discussion? All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
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 Approved. Okay. Now back to applications of certificates of appropriateness.
Thank you. Our first application tonight, GB 22-12-025. This is 757 Hancock Street. The existing site is situated on the block.
Is there an applicant present for?
Oh, you're good. Sorry.
Took off, didn't I?
Come forward. And can you raise your right hands and just state your name? Jane Joyce.
David Bream.
Okay. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, thank you.
So, Madam Chairman, it's a silly little ritual, but we should ask them to swear to tell the truth before we ask them their names.
Okay.
Do
Otherwise, they might be lying about their name.
You never know.
Have them under oath.
No.
Swear first and then mention
Right.
everything. Okay.
Thank you. All right, the existing site is situated on the block between East Columbus Street and East Frankfurt Street. And the property includes a frame two-story residential structure built in 1981 with a two-car garage facing Wilcox Street. Proposed work description is that there's a replacement of a 220 square foot concrete apron with new brick pavers. Concrete apron that connects to the street will remain unaltered. The proposed brick driveway will have a herringbone pattern and brick border. Brick pavers and the brick pavers will be melted up by 760. Installation of the brick border will be around the planting bed. The original frame home was converted into a two-car garage with two garage overhead doors facing Mohawk in 1966. It was then approved in 1973 to be altered into a one-bedroom with a second-story addition to the west end of the structure with a concrete parking pad in front. The original building was approved for demolition in 1981 with the approval of the new structure with similar features with the previous COA, with the concrete parking pad to remain. The new brick parking pad would be consistent with other properties that have brick driveways along Mohawk and the overall streetscape that includes brick sidewalk. Staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate. Basis for staff recommendation are the German Village guidelines for exterior considerations, specifically points 1 and 2.
The applicant have anything they want to add?
No, I'm happy to answer any questions. We are trying to replace the concrete with brick and think that it'll make it even more appropriate for the area.
Commissioners have any comments?
I guess the only comment is there's says new / future tree, by the city.
And it has been installed.
Okay, so that's not part of the application. It's
Right.
just- Okay, great.
The only question I would have is it looks like the curb is integral to the concrete apron in the way the existing conditions constructed, and that the stone curbs are then set. There, it looks like existing stone on either side, so I was wondering how the curb would be constructed. The brick apron, or excuse me, the concrete apron and the curbs are not part of this. That would remain the way it is. Oh, you're
you're
doing the
right.
sidewalk,
Right.
okay.
But what we did do is put a border on each side of the concrete to get some extension of the driveway, from where the concrete apron is to the new brick, just to give it some connectivity across the sidewalk. But yeah, we're not touching,
You're just doing that, okay.
yeah, we're not
Yeah.
touching
The apron,
the
Right.
They
okay,
are doing a little brick edging there.
okay.
Yeah, brick
I can
edging
get that.
in that area.
Yeah, just to kind of resolve some of those. It's kind of treated differently on each side, so we thought we'd make it consistent on each side and get a little bit of an extension across the.
Anybody doesn't have anything to move?
Anything else? Anyone make a motion?
Move to approve item 1 GV-22-12-02-025-757 Mohawk Street as submitted with staff recommendation.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Against? Okay, good.
Great.
We're good?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So the item 2,
Application number 2 is GB 22-12-026, 684 South 3rd Street.
and this is the one I have to recuse myself from. That's right. Okay. So somebody will have to-
I also need to recuse myself.
Okay.
Yeah, Brad.
Yeah. I-
Sorry.
Commissioner Farrell?
Who else recusing?
Yeah, I mean, if
Didn't see what it was at first.
you're Commissioner Farrell would boil
Yeah,
the
I got it.
applicants, okay? Take it.
Okay, so let's see, you guys, raise your right hand. Swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your name for the record.
Kevin Lee.
Matthew Teisman, MKC Architects.
Thank you. The existing site is located within the block between East Frankfurt and East Sycamore. The property includes St. Mary Church, a contributing Great Gothic Bible church circa 1893, a brick 2.5-story rectory building, circa 1893, excuse me, and St. Mary's School, a contemporary first school built in 1960. The applicant is proposing a less decorative metal fence at the north end of the site per the German Village Commission recommendation from the October 5th meeting. The fencing was originally part of the previous application for overall landscape, which was approved this past October. The commission recommended that the fence on the north end of the site be of a simpler design and to come back for review at a future hearing. The applicant has done so with proposing a less decorative fence than what was approved on the east property line in October. Staff recommends approval with any all clarifications to be submitted to the HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate. And basis for staff recommendation are the German Village guidelines for fences and walls, specifically number 3.
Anything you want to add?
You got it. You covered it.
Any questions from other members of the commission?
No questions from the other member.
Yeah.
So I would make a motion to approve GV 2212-026 684 South Third Street, new fence.
I guess I second that.
I
It's
submitted,
situation's a
yeah.
little weird. So all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say no. You're not going to change your mind? Motion, I vote yes, the motion carries.
Thank you.
I don't know that we've ever had this happen before.
Yeah, there's just two.
Well, I've been on the commission.
And one's instruments. That was one of the two.
Yeah, it makes me worry about our forum requirement. I mean, what if we had 3 of you recused? 3 of us recused, that'd be tough. Or 4.
Okay, item 3, GB 22-12-027, 252 East Beck Street. Do we have anybody for 252 East Beck Street?
See that here.
And Madam Chairwoman.
Yeah.
I will need to recuse myself from this one.
Okay.
If we're hearing
If
it
they show
now, yeah.
I can just table it for now.
Yeah, Nate Sampson was the applicant. He's not going to be able to be here for his other application. I thought someone else might be here, but did not hear otherwise. So that might be the reason. But we can table.
Okay, just in case they show up later. Okay. Item 4, GB 22-09-016A, 358 East Beck Street. All right, let's get this in the right order. So raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Can you state your name?
Gabriel Rose with Cardinal Roofing.
Patrick Halsey.
The applicant is proposing to remove the existing 0.4 aluminum siding and asphalt sheet siding underneath the aluminum down to the original wood siding. Additionally, they are proposing to install in wood 117 fine double siding over the original. The applicant reached out to the HPO staff at the end of June to ask questions about siding, gutter, and roofing replacement. Staff recommended that an exploratory COA application be submitted to review the original siding. The original siding was present. Staff would recommend restoring the original. If the siding was missing or damaged beyond repair, replacement of siding could be approvable if it were to match existing. If they were proposing a different siding or to replace the existing, that the application would need to go under commission review and can ultimately be decided once the exploratory was complete. Staff scheduled a site visit for September 6th and October 27th. So based off the 2 site visits, the siding appears to be solid and in good condition overall. Deterioration in rot has occurred near the connection of the 2nd floor and rear porch, as well as where the siding touches the corner of the sills underneath the existing non-original trim. The depth of the current trim has been enlarged to compensate for the additional layers of siding. The applicant was previously proposing hardy board siding to be installed over top of the original. They have since revised their application to propose a new wood siding to be installed. Following comments were taken from the unapproved November 7th German Village Commission hearing minutes. The commission stated that if the siding can be seen to be in good condition, to repair. Commissioner Steele stated that since all siding is exposed, now is the time to restore in lieu of retaining the siding and installing the synthetic siding over top. He also noted that it appears that most of the windows have jam extenders behind the trim and could possibly be removed to reduce the size of the jam. The only two issues will be the first floor facade picture windows, since the jams were replaced recently. At the past December business meeting, the commission requested the applicant to clarify how they are installing the new wood siding over the original, as well as to supply a description of method for installation and the adjustment of the existing trim. The applicant responded stating that they will be applying a moisture barrier and an MDF fiberboard underneath the new siding. They will be nailing the siding with 16 gauge finishing nails. For the trim, the two front picture windows will be boxed in, and PVC trim will be used to close the gaps. All other windows, they are planning to take out existing spacers and closing gaps. So based off the additional site visit from October 27th, staff recommends the commission consider two options. Option A is for the applicant to repair the existing contributing siding and replace where needed in like kind, size, material, and profile. And for B, the applicant to retain the original siding and to install the synthetic siding plus the membrane over the original siding. If recommendation A is approved, the repair would include adjusting the trim to be downsized to be on the same plane as the original siding. If recommendation B is approved, the installation of the synthetic siding is to be done at least in the least damaging way possible, and has the option to be removed for future restoration. This will include the trim to be adjusted to fit the newly installed siding. Basis for staff recommendation, City Code 3116.111, standards for alteration. That's all for me.
Do you have anything else you want to add or clarify?
He covered it pretty well, actually. He kind of took it from start to finish, how this is all went. So he's done.
On the two options?
What's
Do
that?
you
I'm
have a
sorry.
preference on the two options
Um,
you mentioned?
So we have come to the realization that the back is going to need tore off as well. And the property owners really would like to just put a new siding on and have this all uniformed and nice and clean and done. And also save their trim that they already have and not have to worry about possibly redoing their window trim all the way around every window, because that could be a possibility as well. You know, and the siding, there will be some significant on one side, and then around the windows will be some millwork, so there will be some cost there as well. So I think that, you know, with all this, the back is really the biggest kind of hiccup that we have, because there's such there's a lot of water getting in at the two back doors, and there's a lot of moisture up top as well. So that all has to come back off, and then that membrane underneath that's running below by the deck needs to be repaired, and there's just a lot of work that needs to be done on top of doing the mill work. So it really would make sense for us to just clean it all the way up and have all one siding when we're already doing all that work. So you know, that's kind of the census that we've come together is.
Put the synthetic siding.
Correct.
And leave the window jams.
Yes, like he said, take the extenders out, and then the two front windows, we would use a PVC just to eliminate some type of, you know, rot happening, because there's going to be kind of a sticking out of the frames of those windows. So using a PVC trim would probably help to alleviate that, and trying to pitch it a little bit to keep that water from sitting on top of those windows. So we're you know, that's kind of a game time decision type of deal. I mean, we're going to definitely have it so that it looks, you know, aesthetically pleasing, but we want to use PVC so that we don't have to come back with another rot problem like this is because of some of the installs that were done previously. So I think that was one of the main issues is the window trim was sitting so far out, and then the water sitting behind it. So
Any idea on how to minimize the additional penetrations through the old siding?
definitely we're going to want to make that trim very tight. to the elevation, and not having such a huge lip that's where the water just can just puddle on top. And I think that that's really our main focus, especially with the windows that are higher up on the second story that are be really a lot easier. So, I think that the fiberboard might be a little bit thicker than we would have normally used, just because we want to close that gap up. But, getting that so that that trim doesn't have really much of a lip up top where that water can sit, and it can dry up quicker.
So how often do you have to nail the,
That would probably be a better question for my installers, but I would say that it's not too bad. I mean, this siding's not too heavy, so it can be pretty minimal. This siding's not a
this is
huge.
hardy plank, not AZEK? I know AZEK is pretty heavy.
Yeah, exactly. Well, and the one that they used on the back, that T111 is really heavy that they used back there, and that stuff, it takes a lot of nails, so.
Sorry, real quick, clarification, we're using the
The
pine
wood,
wood
the pine
So it's
siding.
been revised.
Yes, we're not gonna do the hardy, yes.
Okay, I just
Yes.
thought that your recommendation was synthetic siding.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, it's
Okay.
not synthetic.
Recommendation is new wood
Wood
siding.
New wood siding, correct. Yeah, we kind of, before I knew what you guys allowed, I put in a hardy because I was under the impression that was one of the things that you guys allowed. And since then have found out that's not really one of the things you guys prefer. So that was one of the original submissions, and we have since changed because we understand that you want to kind of keep it to the original look as much as possible.
Okay, any commissioner comments?
For clarification, you said the T111 is going to be replaced.
Yes,
Is that
it'll
now
all
part-
be-
Is that now part of the application?
Yes, yes, that I don't. It must have not been in there apparently. Then.
You mentioned it.
Yes.
So I don't know if we need to, maybe you have just.
I think
for
that-
clarification, include that as a.
Yes, it said remove all siding, I think is what he said from the beginning, yeah.
Yeah, and then, so that siding, do we know that's all just on the original building? It's not on an addition?
It's, as far as I'm aware of,
That's original.
It's
yeah.
all original.
That's an original part of the building.
I just wanted to make sure we weren't putting a siding to make it all look like it was original if it hadn't been original. So
Correct. And the original is removed from the back of the home because we checked for it and it's been removed from the back of the home.
That's the only question I have.
No other comments? Anyone have a motion?
I will motion to approve item, item 4, GV-22-09-016 to allow, either option, with the clarification, just for the record, that it includes the back.
Second?
Second.
Anything?
Before we finalize this, the commission is fine with using the PVC as the spacer on the front? Double check.
I just know the Park Service has allowed it in areas where there's an ongoing rot problem. It would just last very long. So I'm fine with the PVC as long as.
And it would match the rest of the trim. So, it wouldn't be any different than what's already there. Color wise, so you wouldn't be able to really notice.
Glad you're on the commission, Trish, so you know those things.
Cuts to the chase.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, so we're all in favor.
Thank you.
Okay, cool.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody needs a haircut or bird, Trish?
Okay, item 5.
Yeah, I don't go very often.
And he has asked if we could. He's in agreement with staff recommendations, so.
So do we want to go back to the original one?
Well, for that one, did not hear any other information for that. 252, it's more for the 551.
Okay. So GV-22-10-027B, 551 to 555 City Park Avenue and 552 South Pearl Street.
Thank you. Pro's work description is to replace all historical siding and trim with new to match 6-inch Royal Dutch shiplap. The application was previously approved for the overall design at the previous November hearing. The following is taken from the unapproved November 7th well, now approved November 7th, German Village Commission hearing minutes. Commissioners requested staff and applicant to schedule a site visit to view the current condition of the siding. Updated materials to be presented at the next monthly hearing. Staff scheduled a site visit to review the siding on November 11th and found that the wood plywood siding and drop siding appeared to be in good condition and are candidates for restoration. There are a few damaged or deteriorated boards that can be replaced to match existing. Staff recommends the applicant repair the existing contributing siding and replace where needed in like kind. Basis for staff recommendation is City Code 3116.11, standards for alteration.
Now, I heard in the business meeting that they may want to remove all the wood siding, put up sheathing, and then reinstall. Is that still part of this application, or is that just something that was mentioned?
That was mentioned previously. I spoke to Nate yesterday, emailed saying that he is in full agreement with staff recommendation of just repairing and restoring. So I believe that's the route.
Okay, because otherwise I should ask questions about
Yes.
jam extenders and windows.
Understandable. Yeah, so he
Cool.
hasn't mentioned anything otherwise.
Okay. Bring that, can I hear a motion? Or any comments before we get to that point?
We can skip right to the motions if you want. I don't have any comments.
So we're gonna make a motion and then vote against it, right? Is that the plan?
They're proposing to keep the original siding and
They're
repair it.
proposing to keep the original site,
Yes.
okay. So then, let's see, it's number 551-555. City Park Avenue. Something wrong with the number of the agenda item. So move to approve as submitted to. Yeah, move to approve as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, all in favor.
Hate to do this, but can I request a brief recess to the back?
Okay.
2 seconds.
Staff recess.
Want to give the next applicant my undivided attention.
So I can't hardly hear you. Christine, I can't hardly hear you at all.
Oh, thank you.
That's part of the cold, probably.
Well, and there's just a little bit of white noise in
Noise.
this room. And hearing aids don't really fix your hearing the way glasses fix your vision. This utterly blazes in one of our classrooms the other week. They'd set up fans. And I couldn't hear a thing anyone was saying. It was just,
I can
the
believe that.
white noise was just masking it all.
See those fancy ones that connects to a system,
Yeah.
just hear what's going in the microphone.
Yeah, I think the cold is making it worse.
Thank you so much. Sorry.
Back from break. Item 6, GB 22 11 703 South Fifth Street.
Application number 6, we got notified today that she would like to table that. Six. Oh. she-
We're not tabling? Stay.
Oh, good.
You raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do, but I want to make sure I'm here for the right one. What was the address?
703 South Fifth.
We're tabling that, correct?
Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, it's a table. Okay.
Yeah.
So 703 something.
Oh, I'm not selling the piece. Wrong place.
You're the next one.
Okay, all right, new application. Item 7, GB 22 12 028 123 East Deschler Avenue.
That's, yeah, I think someone skip it.
Commissioner Foley, 703 South Fifth Street, received an email from Julie earlier to table that application.
Also, it's tabled prior to the.
Right.
Yes, yes, it was just today, so that's why it's not been updated, so sorry. For a 123 deck. Sorry for the confusion.
And you both raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
State your names.
Julie Bullock.
Lisa Argist, homeowner at 123 Spec, or Deschler. Old address.
The applicant has revised their application. They're proposing to retain the original garage and to add simpler addition in the same location of the previous addition approved in September 2021. The applicant is still proposing full siding replacement with party board clapboard siding. The application was previously approved in September of 2021 to construct 2 new additions to the existing garage. The garage is original to the site from 1937, but has been extensively modified over the years. 2004, there was a change in the roof line and the siding. The owner was unable to provide documentation from the contractors explaining why the garage needed to be torn down. The applicant suggested to the owner to propose a simpler addition to the existing garage from what was approved previously, so as not to impact the existing garage as much as originally proposed. It is similar to what was approved previously, but eliminates the wrap of the addition onto the back of the garage. The applicant stated that the siding had been replaced, but staff did not find evidence of replacement in the previous approvals. Drawings mentioned existing wood siding to remain, with new siding to be added in the new gable ends of the reconstructed roof. In the previous 2021 approval, commissioners had the following conditions. The conditions included the proposed addition to have compliant corner board and trim, as well as for the new light fixture to be approved by HPO staff and to be compliant with the guidelines. Staff recommendation, staff recommends approval with any and all clarifications be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions. Staff recommended conditions, the new siding to be of wood to match existing, as well as to address the previous conditions of the 2021 approval. 2 quick notes. The proposed addition will have corner board and trim, and
Those are the conditions.
the conditions from the previous application from 2021. Proposed addition will have corner board and trim. Send in new light fixture design to be approved by staff and compliant with the guidelines. Its basis for staff recommendation, standards for alteration, City Code 3116.9, specifically points 1, 10, 11, and additionally 3116.12 standards for new construction, specifically points D and E.
Okay, a little bit confusing, but basically, the original addition that you approved last year wrapped around the garage. And she talked to 2 contractors and nobody wanted to do it because of the existing, we were taking out a large portion of the back wall of the existing garage. And given the structural integrity of that garage, no one wanted to do that. So we said, okay, let's just add an addition on the side and not have it wrap around the corner. So that's what this latest proposal does. So we're not proposing the new garage, we're just proposing the addition we had before. I worked with an owner, I don't know, 3 or 4 owners ago. And at that time, we did replace the siding, and it's not old original siding. However, that's been, I mean, dating myself, but it's almost 20 years old, so. So, that's why we're going to replace all the siding. And we also, again, we're trying to work with the structural integrity of the garage, and I think the way it was installed previously, I mean, she had an alarm go off
Yeah,
when the wind blew.
yeah, we couldn't get the contractors just because they're contractors and they won't spend time writing up something that they don't know they're working on the job yet. But, we went out and held up our own, for leveling and stuff, and the whole garage like leans. And that's why we, as Julie said, we just said, let's just not deal with the backside. And yet it just moves in the wind. Our alarms are going off all the time. So it's just
But
crazy.
we also think getting new siding on there and nailing it in and
cutting the holes out, yeah.
We'll secure the
Facility,
building as well,
right.
so,
So will the current garage also get the corner boards, because right now it has
Yes.
that mitered edge?
yeah. But we would prefer not to do wood, we would prefer to do the hardy, so that's, I think, a question for discussion.
And you're sure it's the vibrations that make the alarm go off and not gremlins?
Well, we don't catch them on our cameras, so.
I'd hate to chase them away.
Yeah, I mean, this garage has had new roofs, at some point, someone didn't put the corner boards, I mean, it's,
Yeah, it's an interesting story.
yeah, it's not,
You know how old the garage is?
it is an old garage,
He said.
yeah, I think,
But has been heavily,
Yeah.
Yeah.
at one point, it had a little bump out on the back. I think you can see it, I saw it on one of the drawings that I had done like 20 years ago, that was removed too, so,
It's at least 100 years old based on that sand.
yeah. So we understand it's old and we want to, you know, keep the integrity, but at the same point,
Secure.
we don't want it to fall over and we feel like doing the siding is a good way to help that situation. And it's rotted and no corner boards, et cetera.
I have a garage in Bexley. I won't park in because I'm afraid of saying it's just a shed right now.
Do not have the photograph of my carriage house that was falling off the foundation. That an engineer explained to me once that the only thing holding it up was that it had been plastered once. So there were thousands of tiny boards and thousands of tiny nails.
Why it's not, but you know, yeah, this has no interior
Nothing, yeah.
finish.
yeah.
That would have,
Helped, yeah.
yeah, you know, that's a good point.
Not in German.
I don't have any particular.
do you have any concern about them using hardy versus wood siding?
It's not main structure.
It's heavily altered.
Yeah, it's already been replaced. I don't know that the hardy will get you the lateral bracing you're looking for.
Well, I was, when he mentioned the plaster, I thought, you know, drywall and even putting some
Interior
seating on the
finishes, yeah.
interior. I think
it's a
we're
garage,
gonna,
you could even just do
even some-
plywood or something that would really
yeah,
almost be better than drywall, right?
yeah,
Right.
yeah.
Something to get you.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea.
Mhm.
You could hang ladders on drywall.
Spikes, whatever, yeah.
Having an insulated garage is a wonderful thing.
Yeah,
Even when
that's
it's
a-
not-
Yes,
it's
my husband would
amazing.
like that.
And your addition is fairly simple, it doesn't have rear bump outs, side bump outs, like,
I'm sorry, I can't
I
hear.
mean, your proposed addition is fairly simple.
Yes.
Slightly smaller.
Yes, yes. You know, with just a smaller opening in and really trying not to,
Okay.
Any other concerns?
Motion to approve item 7, GV-22-12-028, 123 Avenue as submitted.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. Happy holidays.
Yeah.
And I guess we're just going to clarify that we're allowing the hardy plank because it's on the secondary structure that's already been happening.
Yes.
Thank you.
Also, I'm so sorry, guys. Apologies. For one of the last conditions for the approval was the light fixture. Just whenever that needs to be updated.
Getting affected. 'cause-
I'm sorry, say again.
Oh, no,
Fixture.
sorry. The light fixture was a condition from the 2021.
We're not doing one because that
Okay.
alley has, lots
So you're
of
just
street
removing-
lighting, basically.
Okay, so you're just removing the one.
So I'll make sure that resubmitted ones don't have
But I
that.
think it was because it was on the door.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That's why, and we're not just
Okay.
doing that area now. Yeah, thank you.
All right.
You got to refuse.
Yep, another one.
Surprised they weren't more. Yeah, okay. I was wondering why you got stuck around.
There's more. Always more.
And you guys are still under.
Thank you.
Thank you.
This is for application GB 22-12-029, 684 South Third Street. The applicant is proposing the following revisions to the previously approved design. A change in the roof tiles, they will now be Louis clay tiles in Vermont gray black blend. Relocation of the egress door on the west facade. Addition of the egress door on east side of Heritage Wall, and reducing the glazing on the north wall. Application for new construction was previously approved in January 2022 under the address 672 South Third Street. Staff recommends approval with the final drawing package to be submitted to HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with conditions. Basis for staff recommendation, 3116.12 standards for new construction. Specifically points A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, M, N, N.
No.
You have anything to add? Yeah. No.
Yeah, so just to clarify, as you know, we did the concept review, then we got the full C of A. And throughout the process of design, development, and construction documentation, a few code items came up. We needed an extra egress door coming out of Heritage Hall. We've located on the back of the property, feeding into the parking lot. We had to shift a few things about the southwest stair, and so we have an egress door there coming out there. I'll skip item 2 and move straight to item 3. The glazing on the north wall of the vestibule has also been reduced. That was a requirement of the building code due to the proximity to the rectory. The scheme as previously designed had too much glazing, more than the fire department would allow. So we had to reduce the size of that glazing, still have the same effect. From a design point of view, the corner element still is a modern, contemporary looking feature to differentiate it from Third Street, from the existing building to remain. And then the final item is the roof of Heritage Hall. We're proposing to replace the slate asphalt shingles with the Ludovici tile to better match the existing conditions on the campus and surrounding properties immediate to the site.
So what's the roofing on the rest of the campus?
So the pitched roofing on the rectory is slate.
Yeah.
The pitch roofing on the church is the Ludovici tile. And then on the property immediately to the east, the original site of the school is also Ludovici tile.
There can't be many properties in German Village with clay tile. Although we've approved other slate substitutes.
Right.
That doesn't disturb me. And
Right.
probably the clay lasts longer than.
Yeah, I think it's cost prohibitive for most construction nowadays.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm one of the last people to put a new slate roof on their house.
Nice.
That was 30 years ago.
It'll last you 70 more.
It won't last me 70. It will last someone 70 years.
You never know.
Yeah.
I have no questions.
Yeah, I do. So is there a motion?
Yes. Item number 8, GP 22-12-029, 684 South Third Street. Move to approve as submitted.
Second, and all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much for all of your time. I appreciate it. Thank
We can
you.
see you in January?
I think we're
You
done.
never know.
You never know. Thank you very much.
Have a good one.
Okay, item 9, GB-22-12-030, 804 South Fifth Street. We have anybody from 804 South Fifth? table it, and we're just going faster than.
Maybe, it's possible.
Item 10, BV-22-12-031, 525 Lozelle Street. You raise your right hand. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
State your names.
Christian Salvito, Solar Street.
James Plunkett, owner. I know you guys got PDFs recently today. I don't know if you want hard copies of what I sent in PDF. Would that be helpful to anyone?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah, applicant was having technical difficulties. We sent an email around, maybe 12:01, just from updated information in the rendering and, options for the flat and tilted. Yeah. Unfortunately, that was today for the ideas, but,
Yeah.
so apologies. Not see that email.
Okay.
I'll go ahead and start reading the staff report while you all. The proposal is to install 26 solar panels with an inverter to be added to the flat roof. Staff noted that the third story is not original to the structure and was approved for construction in 2013. Staff does not have concern adding solar panels to the 2013 addition, since it is not a contributing portion. If you do have concern about the amount being proposed. Use of renewable energy such as solar collectors is encouraged and should be designed, sized, and located to minimize any effect on the character of the building. While the German Village guidelines do not currently address solar energy specifically, guidelines should be based on recommendations from the National Park Service. And some of those recommendations or preferred locations for solar collectors include site raise in a rear or side yard, on the roof in a addition or secondary structure, or on the rear portions of the roof of the primary structure. To install a collector in such a way that it can be removed in the original character easily restored. Mount collectors flush below the ridge line on a sloping roof. Attach solar collectors to a historic roof in a minimally invasive and reversible manner. Minimize visual impacts by setting collectors back from the eaves, avoid obscuring significant features or adversely affecting the overall character of the property. Collectors located on a primary street facing roof slope is not appropriate, and collectors located in front of the yard. At the December business meeting, commissioners asked if the solar panels will be added to the third floor addition and requested a 3D rendering of the tilt to show the total height of the tilt for the roof line and how the solar panels will visually impact on the street level. Staff is concerned about the amount of panels and visual impact, recommends that the commission offer feedback and continue to the application to discuss at a future hearing. Basis for staff recommendation, somewhat consistent with German Village guidelines, specifically the section on skylights. And 3116, City Code 3116-13 standards for site improvements.
I jump in now?
Yes.
I'm gonna just talk sort of architecturally. It's my house, I'm the architect and all that jazz. I also just want to clarify that the house is only since 2001 as well. The whole building's fairly new, in case you didn't. I'm just gonna walk you through what I dropped off to you. Just, and we'll start with the SP1. And I believe in our application, we talked about two options, of sort of a flat arrangement versus a tilted arrangement. I modeled the tilted arrangement. I didn't like it. You could see them too much, so I didn't even present that here. This is all just a flat arrangement. And you can look at view B. That's sort of that view B on SP01. Keep going up, I believe. Yeah, that one. So that is my house is on Lozelle. This is basically a view from Jackson and 4th. You can just barely see, if you look at that, what looks like a dark line up there, that would be the solar panels. In the elevation, you can see they're actually about 8 inches off the top. There's a little post that they have
that they stand on. But that's really the only place you can sort of see it. If you go to the next sheet, SP02, that's the A view is from the intersection of Hofstra and Lozelle. You can see, you can't see them at all there. And then the B1 is from Blinkner. Oh, I spelled that right or not, but in Lozelle. Again, you can't see them there. And SP3, the rooftop one, that's from my neighbor's house. If you were standing on their roof, yes, you could see them a little bit. They have no roof access. It is a sloped roof. I'm just not, I want to make sure you can see that actually I did model them. They are there. And then the castle top one on B, that is actually if you were on the Schwartz Castle, they've got a little roof deck up there. You can sort of look down and see them. But generally speaking, just walking around a foot level, you won't be able to see them. And that's the way I wanted it. So that's why I nixed the tilted version of it and said, let's just do them flat, keep them as far away from the edge. I didn't realize I justified it a little to the front. We could even push them back a little bit if we need to. But
Meaning they wouldn't, you could push them back to the front.
right.
Same number.
Yeah, I think we would have access around them, so I could only probably push it back like another 6 inches or so, but that would, right now, if for whatever reason, it's 4'1" in the back and 3'6" in the front. I don't remember why I modeled it that way, but I could make it 4 foot in the front and 3'6" in the back. That's makes people happier.
Then you may not be able to see it from Fourth and
Right,
Jefferson.
right. At some point, just because of the way perspective, at some point you get far enough away, in theory you can see them, but atmospheric effects make it very hard to tell what the heck's going on, so.
Perfectly clear day.
Yeah, right. And good vision, which I don't have, so.
I'd be more worried about seeing them if this was a traditional roof, but all you see when you look at this house is that third story that was added on, and these solar panels are a negligible change
Right.
to that big inappropriate addition that I wasn't on the commission to vote against.
Ned voted against it, he's not here, but.
Yeah.
I'm sure that did.
Yeah, we know that, we know that.
I agree. I think that too are probably, imagine the efficiency, effectiveness going flat. It is reduced, the effectiveness of them. So trying to get as many on possible to maximize makes sense to me. I have no problem with this application. Or for the team, we should consider updating the guidelines to include something about solar panels. I know been some Bexley ARB meetings for St. Charles recently, and there are a lot of residential applications currently in Bexley because Bexley is pushing solar panels, and they have same conversations of how do you do it appropriately on.
50 years from now, we will all have.
Hopefully.
Yeah, exactly. So we need to get ahead of it, is my point, so that we make sure we understand how we're doing it in the way that's right. So, but otherwise, so anyway, you're just prompting that conversation.
Sure.
Yeah, I have no problem with this application. It doesn't sound like anybody else does, so I'm
I
gonna
don't
move
believe so.
to approve item 10 GD-22-12-013-525 Lozelle Street as modified by the applicant for the flat installation with the recommendation to move it as far as is reasonable away from the street front.
Second.
Discussion, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? You're approved.
Thank you.
You go on.
Okay, item 11, GB-22-12-032, 160 Thurman Avenue. Okay, raise your right hands. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And state your names.
Kaylee Marling, Amy Craigback.
The applicant is proposing to install the installation of a new in-ground pool and outdoor living space. The pool is to be 8 by 20 feet. The material for the pool is to be radiant vinyl, blue sea stone. Hardscape patio to consist of Unilock boulevard pavers and Unilock Brussels spool nose coping stone including a 4 by 8 foot concrete pad to store the pool equipment. The applicant noted that they will be installing concrete bond beam around. Bond beam is to be 6 to 8 inches thick in width of coping. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. And this is needed if the coping is not made of concrete. Since there will be a concrete present in some areas, staff would like to verify with the applicant if the unilock pavers are to be installed over a permeable base or concrete. At the past business meeting, staff asked if there would be additional screening around the pool equipment. Commission asked how the screening would comply with city code. They additionally asked if pools go towards lot coverage. Staff contacted BZS and they responded stating, in-ground pools don't count toward building lot coverage, but above-ground pools do count towards the lot coverage. Staff recommends approval with any or all clarifications to be submitted to the HPO staff for review and approval prior to issuance of a certificate with the following condition. The condition is that additional screening be added around the future pool equipment and screening to be low shrubs or a breathable fence. Basis for staff recommendation, German Village guidelines for exterior considerations, specifically points 1, 2, and 4.
The question came up, do you know if your existing fence meets the current health code?
I do not know that. We could get that information and email it over.
Okay, yeah, because they're very specific about it has to be at least 4 feet high.
Yeah, well, I mean, we'll go with whatever City of Columbus code is.
Okay, well, the reason is that if it needs to be changed, then you're back in front of the commission.
Gotcha, okay.
Any other comments?
Nope, that was
On the pool now.
comments.
Motion to approve. Item 11, GV-22-12-03216 Thurman Avenue.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, we're approved with the note that, I guess, screening plans in the future.
Yes.
Okay with that, and if the fence needs to be changed or.
Yeah, I can get that height and email it over. It looks to me from the pictures that it's high enough, but we'll verify.
Looks to
Looks
be.
compliant to me.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. Thanks.
How many pools have I've never seen a pool, have you ever seen one?
Little water feature,
Yes, I just
full out swimming pool.
surprising that you haven't seen one.
Conceptual applications, 12, GB-22-12-033-772 Jaeger.
Nobody's.
And nobody's here. Nobody's here at all.
Yeah, it doesn't seem to fit. I informed this applicant to come around 5:30 based on time. I thought we would take a little bit longer, apparently not. So I might try to get in contact with him just to let him know, because he should be on his way. But of course, we've had tablings or applicants not showing up. So
What about the other two?
I haven't heard anything otherwise of them being here or not, so unfortunately, I don't see anyone else.
You want to try that applicant while we,
Yes, yes, I can. Applicant.
I was worried about getting out of here by 6:30.
I know, yeah, we're good. I was gonna warn everybody too that you had to leave at 6 to push their bullet, but we don't have to worry about that apparently.
Looks like it might be someone.
Yeah, there's somebody out there maybe.
Nobody else is here, so you're up.
Oh. Wherever you are.
Yeah, we'll take you.
747 City Park.
14.
So I
That one, I guess.
GB-22-12-035, 747 City Park Avenue.
Okay.
And you all raise your right hands. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do, yes.
Please state your names.
Kyle Green, architect.
Micah James, resident.
Randy James, resident.
Thank you. This is a conceptual application. Proposed work description, the addition of a shed dormer on the south elevation near the front of the main cottage structure. The proposed dormer will match the existing dormer. The existing dormer and addition were approved back in 1968. For that section, board and batten siding is proposed and painted to match existing. Double hung one windows from the approved list and roof gutters and fascia to match the existing. They're also proposing a new two-story carriage house at the rear of the property along Burl Alley. For this property, or for this carriage house, excuse me, they're proposing 2 parking spaces, 1,040 square feet of living space, 370 on the first floor, 670 on the second floor. Vertical board and batten siding, asphalt shingle roof with 4 skylights on the north elevation, new fixed windows on the east, west, and south elevations, and gas lantern light fixtures. At the past December business meeting, the commissioners requested an alley elevation drawing to include the streetscape. This is to include the heights of the buildings along the alleyscape as well as the average height of those structures. The requested applicant the applicant provide the height of the main structure in order to compare with the proposed garage. The height and massing are a concern and will need to be discussed further at the hearing, including the overall design. For the dormers, commissioners suggested the applicant look into the guidelines about adding dormers to a primary structure and requested additional information on the current roof shingle of the cottage. Staff recommends that the commission should offer design feedback that can be used by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future Sherman Village Commission meeting. And no basis for staff recommendation because this is conceptual.
I just have a quick update to the street elevation. I noticed that there was a typo on here, so I just wanted to show the elevation that reflects the elevation that are in the packet as well. So it's just a foot off. So thank you for hearing us. I think, so we sort of have 2 parts to this, so maybe we start with the dormer on the existing cottage. Read through the guidelines, understand sort of the description of a dormer on a residence like this, single or double window and gable, smaller dormer. We do have an existing dormer on that same elevation, so we weren't sure exactly how the commission would react to 2 different dormers on the same elevation if it conflicts. Our preference would be to match that existing dormer that's on the same side towards the rear with the shed dormer. It's a shed dormer with a new dormer on the front to match in material and sort of size and scale. That would also sort of mimic the house next door is a similar cottage that's sort of mirrored and has a shed dormer on the front near the front on the side as well. So our preference would be to mimic that both from an aesthetic standpoint and from a functional standpoint in the second floor of the cottage. But wasn't sure how you would react to 2 dormers
The first item is, what is the existing roof made out of?
the shingles.
Asphalt shingles?
It's asphalt shingles. I've got a couple photos here, and I tried to match it with a shingle on the approved list. Sorry, these pictures are a little.
It's not slated, then you would not have slate yet.
No. Photos, and then I matched this one with one of it looks similar to the tank code and to the slate from the approved list. It's an asphalt.
It's not cutting into an existing slate roof.
Yeah.
You're not doing that.
Yeah, okay. Yep, that.
The other concern is the guidelines state that any roof dormers are put towards the rear.
Okay.
I guess we have allowed them on historic buildings, historic primary structures, as long as they weren't going through the historic slate roof, but they've always been like in the rear third of the house.
Like the existing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the existing one is way in the back.
Yeah. Isn't there a limitation on the length of that now?
It's like the rear third, like the one you cited next door that's in front is kind of a short
Mm-hmm.
dormer. I mean, I'm not sure when that was put on. It probably predates our guidelines. We would allow a dormer that size, but only in the rear half
Mhm.
of the building.
Okay. So the shed dormer is out in any scale?
Well, it could be shoved towards the back or at least smaller. Yeah, it just, the way you have it right now is like it goes right to the front and it sort of occupies most of the length of the room.
Are we allowed to?
Yeah, good.
Okay, I think the reason why we wanted to do that is because the front is actually a bedroom. And if you can see on the drawing up there, there's actually a door into the bedroom, right where that shed dormer, like right before it, I think. And you hit your head as you walk into that bedroom. I'm only 5'4.5", and I hit my head. So that was one of the reasons why we asked the architect to go ahead and put that dormer in there, because it doesn't seem very functional for our living nowadays. To get into that bedroom, you do have to duck, and like I said, I'm pretty short, so that was one reason that we had requested that Kyle put that into the drawings.
And I don't, the way that the roof line is, I don't think we could push it back any farther. If you see in sort of that, you know, you can see that, yeah, sort of that middle section, the roof already sort of cuts back there. It's,
So
yeah,
we have a floor plan showing this interior configuration.
I do not have a floor plan.
Then the question comes up, like, could you spend the equivalent of money on the dormer on the interior to reconfigure it slightly so that you don't have to bang your head?
What do you mean? Sorry.
Well, the money you were to spend on the dormer, it could be spent on the interior of the house to somehow reconfigure it so the door is not right up against the slope of the roof.
Oh, I see. Yeah, the problem is there's a bathroom. It's basically the width of that. If you cut a section through there, there's a bathroom and a hallway, and that's pretty much the whole width of the house. Yeah, I can't really. You can't really. I don't think we can move the bathroom. It wouldn't.
Or the staircase.
Or the stair. Yeah.
Where the stairs come up to that room.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I don't think in this case that is going to work, and I can provide a floor plan at our next meeting if that helps.
Having it would certainly help.
It would help.
Okay, second floor plan. Yeah.
The stair that comes up is any part of this dormer to provide headroom for the stair landing?
Let's see. So no, I think this is basically the an initial, like, open the door to the bedroom, initial hallway, and then bedroom. The stair falls in that middle section with those two little square windows. Yeah.
Oh, beyond.
Yeah, in the middle there.
It's
close.
over, it's actually over to the right of the smallest, yeah,
Yeah,
right in between
that's-
there. That's where the stairs come up.
Yeah, that's the landing outside the bedroom.
But they're in the middle, so they end in the middle of the highest point, and then you step up one step into the bedroom. So
So what's the right side windows versus the left side windows of the dormer? Or do they facilitate that area?
The left two window, first we mimicked what was on the rear. The left windows would fall sort of in the initial hallway once you enter the bedroom, and then the right side of the windows would be in the main bedroom portion,
So where is the door that has the problem?
to the left of the left windows. Basically right at the edge of that dormer on the
Oh,
left.
so you could shrink the dormer to just accommodate that door, to be like the left set of windows. If they,
It's possible, but then, you know, we're still walking through the hallway, and then at some point that dormer stops, and then then you have you're back down to here.
but are you in the bedroom at that point?
you're into the bedroom, but there is a bathroom so if you're walking into the bedroom and the dormer is on our right-hand side, the bathroom is on the left-hand side. So you're not really
So
walking into the middle of
There's
the
a
room.
corridor in the bedroom.
Yeah,
Because it's very
this is
long.
sort of oddly, quickly drawn, I'm sorry, but this is the front, and so this is the door, this is the bathroom, and then our dormer is here.
So minimally,
There's
you
a
just
little
need to get
hallway.
the dormer the length of the bathroom, get you past the bathroom wall. and then you can walk into the middle of the room.
Possibly, but you'd still have this awkward like spot where you still have to just kind of duck down to get in. You know what I mean? So it wouldn't.
We can.
It would move the problem. I don't know that it would solve the problem.
Well, I guess I'm asking is like, what is like the minimum size you can get away with? And the floor plan and maybe a section cut through there showing the height clearance issue you have.
We'll provide the floor plan and the size, and I understand where you're getting at, to pull it off of the street elevation as much as possible. And then when we resubmit, we can have a better explanation of sort of how we came to that minimum dimension and how it works with the floor plan, and then we can further discussion.
Yeah, that would help, because I know we've allowed dormers where a headroom, especially at a stair, where safety was an issue.
Okay.
So yeah, I mean, this is a big shed dormer on the front of the house.
But apparently it doesn't have to be as close to the front.
Changes the character of the appearance of the house in a dramatic way that we just normally don't approve anymore. Years ago, that's why there's so many of them. Many of them were installed before architectural review, but most of them in the early years of the commission. And at some point, we realized we weren't going to have any cottages with their original facade anymore. They were all going to have these shed dormers on them. So I think you need a bigger house.
No, we want to be in a smaller home. That's why
Well,
we're.
I understand.
I think it's, I'm 5'4",
Smaller
so
house, a bigger house. So that's
Yeah.
what I want.
I'm 5'4", so I think it was just more of that. And also architecturally, we are trying to match what is currently already there and be a little bit more symmetrical in the home, as well as mirror the house that's next door, because they are very similar if you've seen the
But
pictures.
it's
Yeah.
probably built along. Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, they were, I mean, they mirror each other almost exactly, except for that they have a dormer in the front as the.
If you were going to mirror the existing dormer on the other side of the same part of the house, I don't think anyone would have a problem, because it's way in the back.
Yeah, there's not a
Not
bed.
this back.
Yeah.
And those other nearby houses with shed dormers on the front are examples of what we don't want to have happen to more houses in the village.
Well, we will update it anyway, and
Yeah.
and that way you can see.
Others
And,
might have a different view.
okay. We'll provide those floor plans and pull it back and
Yeah.
see where we.
Whatever you can find to justify why it needs to be where you think it needs to be.
Absolutely. Okay.
Carriage house.
And the carriage
That's
house.
hot button.
So maybe the site, well, could you go to the site plan first? I just wanted to sort of touch on, okay. The carriage house at the rear, we have a very narrow site. So we've got 3 feet on one side and I think about 20 inches on the other side. And we're pulling the carriage house 5 feet off of the property line at the rear. Most of the other adjacent properties on Pearl are right on the property line. That's for maneuverability, the car at the street. So we've basically got a door that comes into a stair room on the first floor. Since we were narrow, we couldn't put the stair on the side there, so that's on the yard side. We extended the carriage house into the yard, but not farther than the adjacent residence along Pearl there. And it's a two-car garage, and we were planning on matching materials, fiber cement board on the exterior. Wanted your comments on that, and window configuration, and also gas lantern exterior sconces as sort of some of the items that we wanted to ask about. And there's a balcony on the second floor of the side facing the yard, shielded on both sides from view from the neighbors, but it's sort of recessed. The second floor is pushed back about 6 feet.
I just noticed on your site plan, the carriage house is 40 feet by over 21 feet.
Yes.
It's as big as some houses.
Yes.
It's almost as big as the adjacent house.
Yeah,
biggest-
the alley.
biggest-
I mean, it's,
What is, besides the two-car garage, what else is in this carriage house?
it's a one bedroom, and like there's a room on the first floor where you walk in where we have the stair, on the yard side, and a room. And then you go up and there's bedroom, a small modest kitchen and living space.
Kitchen, bathroom, bed.
And bathroom, yeah.
Bed, bath, kitchen.
And
Bed.
living room,
And living space. I mean,
that's why it's so big.
yeah.
Okay.
Well, just sort of living, dining, kitchen is sort of
That's
one
not
space.
something that's typically approved.
Carriage house?
No, with carriage houses, we see the typical approval is it's either or, right? Either
Yeah, I
like
think
a
so.
kitchen or a bathroom, because what you're creating is essentially an apartment, a place you could rent, a place.
A new house.
A new house.
Or a mother-in-law suite is
Yeah,
really what
a
it would be.
full, yeah. I'm not saying they can't be approved, there's probably zoning considerations and a lot that would
It's
have to
never
go
been
into it.
approved
That's
here.
very atypical for what we would approve.
Okay.
And I'm a reliable vote against carriage houses on smaller houses like this that historically would not have had a carriage house associated with them.
Okay, yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, you brought up zoning. We will have a list of sort of the typical carriage house variances. Don't have that at here, but we'll have it for the next meeting.
Yeah, I think, we haven't had to consider a full apartment in a long time, so I would encourage you to look through the guidelines, look through the zoning and come prepared to make that argument, because I think it's gonna be a hard one. In regards to the architecture, I would encourage you to look at the new construction portion. Essentially, it talks about, there's three things we consider. It's the massing, the materials and the detailing. And typically, we recommend for new construction for vary one of those items. So, vary the massing or vary the detailing or vary the materials. I think, and I'm gonna be very different than Jeff on these, as we usually are. I think you're close in the idea that the massing from a height standpoint is close, although it does look to me as I do the math that the average of the existing is 26 and you're at 28. And there is a strict requirement in the guidelines that you have to meet that average. And typically that's going to generate a no vote right off the bats if you're not meeting that strict requirement. So I would encourage you.
We're the height of the main house, you
Yeah.
have to be less than the height of the main house.
Is that specifically in the guidelines? I know the average thing is. I don't know that is.
It does say something about subservient to the
Yeah.
structure.
Yeah, it might be, yeah. So consider, look at that height. I think you're getting close to the idea, at least from a height standpoint, of the massing being, there are a lot of two-story buildings all along this. Is this an alleyscape or is it a streetscape? It's a streetscape.
Streetscape.
Yeah, it's curved. Yeah, it's actually a street.
It's named an alley, but it's a street.
Yeah, yeah. And then what you've done is you've varied the detailing, but materials that are similar, right? And I think that that's an appropriate way to differentiate. Frankly, it's kind of cool. I like the design, but the massive question that I have a little bit of a challenge with where it comes, are you varying the massing as well? The height thing is the thing we got to get close to, but it is a very large, long building that you're going to be able to see how large and long it is from the streetscape. And so I know we have a site plan. Okay, at least shows, I don't know if it'd be possible to help with, actually the immediately adjacent building helps from a massing side because it's not actually any longer. It'd be nice to see if it's possible to get, because it is also from a massing standpoint very long, to get the rest of the street
Sure.
for the block from a site plan that would help us evaluate that.
Yeah, I think we specifically made it shorter. If you look, it's not only set back on
Right.
the street, but it's also shorter than the
From
one that's
adjacent.
next door.
Yeah.
Because of that.
And I think the other reason why it looks so tall is where the slope starts is a lot higher than where the neighbor's slope starts.
Mhm.
right? So it's got kind of steeper pitch.
And the eaves are just a lot higher than the neighbor's eaves.
Yeah.
I think we
Travel
can,
pitch, I should say, I'm sorry.
I definitely think we can, meet that average, lower it and meet that average,
Oh, wait.
average height for
So
sure.
this says 28, your application actually said 27, so you were
Yeah, that's-
closer on the application.
Yeah, yeah, that's the update I made. So, the elevations in the application, the main elevation say 28. I just, yeah,
So
so,
that's just my advice and opinion.
but I think we can make that below that 26 for sure.
But I would also warn you that I am probably the commissioner that is the friendliest to carriage houses, so. Karen?
I know, yeah, other commission members have said they will accept carriage houses as long as they look like a garage.
Like a garage.
As long as they don't look like a house and they look like a garage.
Okay,
Then it could be acceptable to a small cottage
okay.
that may have had a shed or a garage in the back and not a full carriage house.
And I think the balcony on the yard side probably he wouldn't have any objection to that.
And I'm sorry.
Even I wouldn't have any objection. I don't like the building it's on, but the
And
balcony itself.
a lot of times we're looking at where we're getting into height massing issues, shifting the pitch of the roof, but 90 degrees so that you start to step back. But in this instance, all the stuff we're looking at is either gabled or a flat roof. So I don't know that that's a challenge. And I think it's actually probably more appropriate to keep the gable on the alley side like you've done. And it is Pearly. I was reading City Park. I was like, is this on City Park? And no, it's on Pearl Avenue.
Yeah, sorry about that.
So that's my thoughts
Okay.
here. Sorry.
I think it would be important to have the height of the primary structure for comparison.
Okay.
And anything you can do to get below that, I think is important.
And the only other odd thing is the gas light. Is this the gas light on each side of the garage door?
Yeah, yeah, right. Or,
I
and
think it was
on this, door, on
on the main,
On the side elevation?
where the,
that's
yeah,
correct.
Yeah.
the door into.
That matches the front. The house, the main home on City Park has capacity.
We just wanted to check that those are still approved or.
Well, it just seems like an odd pairing because this carriage house has a much more modern, almost 60s feel. I always look like those sconces should be those sort of round 60s sconces to
Okay.
blend in. But yeah, it just seems kind of odd that you'd have a sort of non-traditional detailing, then suddenly have these old-fashioned looking gas lamps.
I think
Have we approved any of these dimensional shingles? I don't think so.
That's the board and batten site.
No, you're talking about the roof.
Yeah.
We understand that there's an approved list of.
Yeah, it's on the approved list, fine, but.
Okay, yeah, I mean, that's usually what we shoot for.
This was just to show what's on the existing house.
That's the existing house and then, the Tamco is what I matched to look like it was the closest one to the, shingles that are on the existing. I don't know for a fact, what was on there. It's kind of, older, but, that's what it looks like.
Was that for the dormer though? That wasn't for the,
This was for the existing house in the dormer.
that was for the dormer.
So of course, we would want to see samples for what's going to go on the other as well.
Yep.
And we'd want that to match. I mean, that makes complete sense. Floor plans.
The carriage house.
Morgan, do you think it would be possible to, I don't know when the last time a full apartment carriage house has come before the commission, but I'd love to read the meeting minutes from some of those old ones to just get a sense of how the commission has applied the standards to that situation previously.
Yeah, of course. I know from the past with the conversation about the bathroom and kitchenette, we have not been in agreement with having both for the carriage houses or, having livable space above a garage. I will say in these meeting materials, I have a previous approval from 2016 for a new garage. In the rear was never constructed, but I have the example of what was approved
Very different,
them.
yeah.
So, just for an idea, maybe what to look at as well. But for the hearing minutes, I can.
Yeah, I'd love to know if one was ever approved, if it was approved, what were the considerations that were given to it? If they weren't approved, what were the those types of things would, I think, be helpful for me personally to just kind of think it through.
Yeah, once we go down that path, they'll be in the back of every house in German Village.
Yeah, there's one at Sycamore and Mohawk, the property on the northeast corner. It has that's a carriage house with a full second story.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know when that was approved or how long it's been there. It's been there probably 20 years.
Early on this chair.
When my wife was chair.
There you go.
Would it be possible if you found other ones to copy me on those so I can also read through and
Yeah, I can send and submit what has been approved recently for some carriage houses. I know we've had some in the past year, with the second story and things of that nature. I could send that feedback.
thank you. That would be very helpful. Do you have any other questions you want to bring up?
Just a question of process. I was thinking about prognosis, but how does the like approval process work? Does it just come down to like everyone votes, or does it have to be a unanimous vote? How
It
does
has to be a majority.
Majority of the who were here and voting. Of course, so the conceptual review, there's no
Yeah.
vote, there's just feedback.
Sure.
You can kind of count heads and figure who might be a vote against. There's things you might be able to fix and other things maybe not, but.
Sure.
Yeah, so when it comes to the actual meeting, you may get a sense that things are going down a path that you don't think it's gonna get approved, so you might
Table it.
continue it to the next meeting.
What happens sometimes, actually pretty frequently, is you'll be able to tell from the direction the conversation is going whether the application as submitted is likely to be approved and might have the opportunity to make an amendment on the spot that would be likely to result in an approval.
Sure.
And so that, and then you have a choice. Do you want to ask us to vote and then go through, if it's denied, then go through the appeal process, or do you want to make an amendment
On the spot.
In my experience, is people are usually ready to get started on this project.
Sure.
And they're amending the application.
That makes sense.
But, you know, we're largely indifferent to what.
Except when the amendment is something major, like, we'll agree to move our e-bikes down 3 feet.
We might want to
We
see
need
it.
to see that. Or we're gonna eliminate the kitchen.
Yeah, there might be amendments that would require further drawings.
Sure.
Especially for something like this, the amendments a lot of times happen on applications that are a small, oh, we'll change to that shingle instead of the shingle or something like that.
Sometimes changing the size of the window or something.
The commission, when it comes to carriage houses, and this is my characterization, this isn't necessarily anybody else here can share. I think you've got kind of 2 that are a little bit more opposed, 2 that are a little bit more favorable, and 2 in the middle. I think that's probably where it's sit.
That's what it looks like.
And the player yet to be named by the mayor.
Yeah, and we're waiting.
So this is the commission, everyone's.
So we have 2 of us missing tonight,
2 missing.
and there's a vacancy that hasn't been filled.
We try to have an odd number, so there are never any ties.
Gotcha. When will the vacancy be filled? Just curious.
Talk to the mayor.
We would love for you to write a letter to the mayor and ask to get.
I'll get on it right away.
Or apply.
Excellent. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Before we continue, Commission, would you like to touch base on the rear porch, the window setup, anything of that nature for this application? Or,
I think I mentioned it briefly in my comments. I think that the windows are different, but I think if you get the massing right and you have the materials right, and that's a detailing difference, personally, I'm okay with it. It is interesting, the contributing to your massing, feeling bigger, maybe even though it is taller than several of the other buildings, is also everything is vertically oriented, which is kind of drawing everything up, which I also understand what you're working with is it's a little bit of a narrow, and you're trying to play the proportionality right. So there's a little bit of work of detailing there, but to that particular question, Morgan, I think it's okay. The balcony side, which is not the one that's printed, again, I think to Jeff's point, I'm not, there it is.
Yeah, and he doesn't approve everything, but way more famous than I.
That's true, no. Well,
Are you
there are
gonna
other
be
things
here next month?
there are other things that
My niece.
sometimes, depending on the topic, that mix of people who are for and against might change.
Sure.
But you know, the same thing on the exterior, on the west elevation there. Again, the materials are right, the railing's interesting.
Yeah, the railing is actually pulled from in the interior of the main house.
Mhm.
We were trying really hard to kind of take what's already existing and, kind of translate that
Yeah.
into something that's a little bit more modern, but still like has that shape of the cottage. So there is actually metal railing.
It's a cable, right?
It's
Yeah,
a cable railing
yeah.
inside.
Question is, it just says, Michael was sharing that. Would those kinds of like details help in the decision-making process? Like we had a photo that showed this is kind of, this is inside the main house and we desire
The more
to
clarity we
Yeah.
get.
kind of
And, like,
reflect that.
Like the 4 doors, there's actually 4 doors on the main house. Like the balcony there are 4 doors on the main home that are facing directly, like, they face each other and, that we were trying to play off of the same things as well as the skylights. There are 4 skylights on the main home as well. So we're trying to pull, what's already existing to make something that is a little bit, more modern, but still keeping that, traditional shape and, so.
I think if the balcony was on the alleyscape side, we'd be having a different conversation, but where it's located, I think, because.
Although I might like the balcony better than I like the window.
You might. Again, I'm only speaking for myself, right, Commissioner? But that's my general consensus to the questions that Morgan asked.
Yeah, and the tall windows up front, there's 3 of them. And if you actually look at the main home, there's actually 3 windows on the back of the main home. They're normal, regular square. But because, like Brent was saying, the home was so, we are trying to elongate that and kind of bring in more light into that home. And there's actually a church on the southwest corner of Pearl. And so those are some of the, as I walked around and we talked with Kyle, I tried to pull what's already there. Like, hey, this might be kind of neat to kind of bring those type of things in that are already there. And I actually sent you a picture of there's like a building on Pearl a little bit north of there that has similar windows. So anyways, yeah, those were some of the conversations that we had with Kyle that kind of, we want it to fit in, but we do want it to be a little bit more modern and so anyways.
Well, for me, it's like, if you get the massing right,
Yeah.
it can be as modern as you want.
Okay.
Okay.
I don't
As long as you
do
get the
that.
massing right.
Okay.
Because then you're burying the details, you've got massing the materials right, so those are the 3 things we're looking at, we want
Okay.
one of them buried.
So
So
like
that-
one of the 3
Exactly.
could be different. So just as an example, if we had the massing, the materials and the details were all the same, you'd look at it and say, you got to change a couple of these.
That's right, because then you're mimicking historical, which is not
We
what
want
we're
it to be
trying,
of the time.
trying to make it meet the character, but know that it's
Yeah,
different.
it's tricky. You don't want to clash with existing.
Yeah.
But you don't want to create a false sense of history at the same time.
Okay.
I see.
That's the balance we're trying to strike.
Okay. That's really,
That helps, yeah.
really.
Yeah, and for me, like massing's the most important. And if you get that massing right, I would almost forgive modern details and modern detailing.
It says sometimes 2 are okay, and it does say
And
sometimes.
I think sometimes 2 are okay as long as massing is not one of the ones that
Okay.
gets radically changed.
Getting that, so it feels not like something huge and out of place, or teeny and not in place in that regard.
Yeah, I always tell people, you want to be able to walk down the street and not go, what the heck was that?
Yeah.
Just blend right in, and then you
Yeah.
may notice it again the second time and go, oh, that's really cool, it's got.
Okay.
The massing is the biggest thing that detracts from the historic character of the neighborhood.
The property that I would say most recently we approved that would be similar to this would be Lil Hugo's house.
And I
And that,
voted against that.
What was that one?
Little Hugus
I used to live across the street, yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to think of the name of the street, it's near,
Franklin Art Class.
I think also some of the massing, if you look on the 749 Pearl and 747, that's actually directly behind it. And obviously it's a different roof shape, but it would be, that the proposed is actually, 1 foot shorter than that. But it would be a mirror to what's exactly.
Well, remember, yours is a carriage house, not a
Yeah.
main house.
Correct, yeah.
And
But
there are commission members who think the carriage house should just look like an outbuilding.
yeah, I think, but I was trying to explain like
Mhm.
what our thoughts were, maybe not yours.
But you can see too, Teresa, from the elevations here, and we all know that Pearl is different than a typical alley.
It has
Pearl,
dimensions.
you need actually this stuff that's across, this is all,
25 Frankfurt, I guess that's really actually on Pearl
yeah.
though.
But,
Yeah.
it's, you go across the street, it's brewery district, it's a different, if it's a district, it's a different district, different standards, everything.
Yeah, that's across the street, the bottom
The bottom.
row here.
This is all Barn Row, so that's
Yeah.
actually all brewery district, which is interesting.
Yes.
But Pearl is a different street for the village in general.
Mhm.
I used to live in Columbus.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
yeah, right there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Commissioners have any other comments or have any other questions?
The next application deadline is a week from tomorrow for us.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, for applicants who are here, application deadline is 2 weeks.
Okay. No, I think that was it from us. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you so much. To meet you.
Great thing, do
And
it.
put faces.
What's that?
It's a great
with-
name.
I think we have emails.
Oh, yes, we do.
Right.
Oh, maybe we can email you, Brian, I sent you that way.
Not about any of this, but we had,
Something completely different.
yeah, a couple different homes that we were looking at, yeah, so. Yeah, thank you though.
Thanks, everybody.
Appreciate it.
Appreciate it.
I believe the applicants for 12 and 13 are here.
Do it. Okay.
Item 12, GB-22-12-033-772 Yeager Street.
Yeah.
Yeager, yes.
No, you're better. Okay, put that in. And I'm gonna use for this one.
You raise your right hand.
Paul Coleman.
You swear you in
Oh.
first. You swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes,
State your name.
Paul Coleman. Sorry, I lost about 80% of my hearing, so I do apologize if I ask you guys to repeat yourself a couple times.
Try to enunciate. Person who has some hearing loss.
The applicant is proposing to construct a two-story addition off the rear east of the main structure. The first story is to be 15 foot 6 inches by 22 feet. The second story is to be 15 foot 6 inches by 12 feet. Also, the plan is to dig out a full basement under new addition.
Yeah.
Under the new addition to be 15 foot 6 inches by 22 feet by 8 feet. The addition is to include expansion of first floor living room and second floor bedroom. The application was originally submitted as an action item. After further review of the application and discussion with the applicant, staff decided to move the application to a conceptual to discuss the design and materials further. Staff had informed the applicant that the final windows proposed are not approvable in the district and to select from the approved windows list. The applicant informed staff that they were selecting vinyl windows since there are existing vinyl windows on the primary structure, but would look into windows from the approved list and other material changes. At the December business meeting, the commission stated there will need to be a discussion about roofs, engaging roofs, and we'll need additional information about foundation materials and final materials for the new addition. They have requested staff to look at previous applications and COAs. The applicant will need to contact BZS to see if any variances will be needed for the new addition or if there are any needed that are non-conforming. The HPO office has no additional COAs or application on file for this property. Staff recommends that the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for review at a future GDC meeting.
Did you want to add anything?
I did meet with zoning yesterday. We are approved through zoning if you guys approve us to build. So no variance or anything is required. I have her card if you guys need that.
Thank you.
So I know that there's the last meeting, they had a question about the zoning and wanted to see if we was going to require a variance or whatever. So I did meet with them and no variance is required.
What's the roof material on the main house?
I'm sorry,
The roof material on the main house?
it'll be shingles, the three tab.
The existing roof.
I'm sorry,
The existing roof material.
it's shingles, three tab. Yeah, if you look at the attachment that I sent over, I believe yesterday or the day before, it's the spreadsheet that shows the matching materials that's going to be being used to match all the existing that's there, and that's underneath your guys' approved material list.
Well, normally we don't approve additions that attach directly onto the house, like with a cross gable right on top of the historic roof. Usually there's we call a hyphen, like a connector that separates the two masses so that the historic house, it still reads as the whole volume.
Okay. So are you saying more or less to have an interior wall?
Well, usually it just means there's a hyphen, there's a connector that's maybe a couple feet, 3 feet long, that has a lower roof that is lower than the eave line.
Okay.
And then your two-story addition would butt up against that, so that when you look at the elevation from the side, there's the main house standing unencumbered, a connector, the flat roof maybe, and then the addition. So the addition does not cover up any of the historic house.
Okay.
So if you took what you had, like we're seeing on the scene there, shifted to the left and had a little connector that was maybe the walls were in a little tighter, had like a flat roof below the eave or something like that, so it's clearly different.
Have like a little, almost like a little 3-foot hallway.
Yeah,
Going.
just moved everything out 3 feet and then just
Okay.
connected it to the main house.
That helps clearly differentiate that it's not part of the original historic structure.
Yeah.
And then at that point, if you're matching the roof finish and the windows and the siding, and then it's totally different from the original house. Even if it has all the same materials.
Yeah, because I was going to mention too, when it's attached like that, not just the roofing, but the siding, then it becomes very unclear what's the historic and what's the original, if that makes sense. But yeah, I think that's a great solve, actually. Terrific.
And then the ridge line on the addition should be lower than the primary structure, correct? By our,
I think it is lower than
it's
the
kind of hard to tell.
ridge. I think that the eave is the same. The
See,
ridge,
when I look at that though, it looks like it's.
I think it's because it's very close. If you look at the roof plan, see how it's actually hitting the hip.
Okay, so it would have to be
Yeah, it would
lower.
have to be lower there.
Yeah, it is lower. It doesn't go all the way to the.
I think that's just, it's that angle of that drawing, yeah. Because it's kind of coming from a lower perspective.
Yeah, and so you're really close. Yeah, you've got the addition at a slightly lower ridge line, and you've got it actually inset from the corner, so it's not covering up.
Right, and that's why, we did insert that in, that way it had that separation right there at that corner.
That's good, it's like you're almost there, if you just like put that little hyphen,
Yeah.
then it would be fine.
Yeah, I think a little something that helps pull it away is really what it needs. I don't have much else simple otherwise. It would be nice to, I mean, so if everything's from the approved list, then we don't even need to necessarily see samples, including the windows, right?
Foundation materials, the only other question that came up.
Good question.
It's in there for the foundation as well. It's just your concrete rebar and then split face block that match the current split faces there.
And I think in the guidelines, there's instructions on how the window trim needs to be.
Yes, so,
Okay, so your window trim is compliant
Yep.
with what's in the guidelines and
Yep.
corner board, siding.
and then you guys, I don't know which color code you guys have approved for the house. So I just have to see what color code it is that you guys have approved for the house and then,
There's no list of approved colors.
The paint itself,
Yeah, for paint color.
I just painted a house in German Village that you guys sent me an approved color on. Like, 2 months ago, 3 months ago.
it might have just come from your architect or your.
Might have been a suggested color that maybe have been
I don't know.
approved in the past, maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah, because there we don't have a.
That is an interesting question. What if somebody wanted to paint something pink?
Yeah, I think in a way, my first year on the commission, because I was the only one who took notes, it was like, if the color you want to paint is kind of like generally in the village, a natural color, taupes,
Yeah,
brown,
we're just gonna match what's existing on the house.
then like staff
Yeah.
would do it, but if you want
We're
to
not-
hot pink, then it's gotta.
Yeah, we're not painting the entire, we're not switching it up.
Historically, people would paint some stuff pretty
Yeah.
bright. You have to think, but you have to show why, right?
Show that your house actually was that color at one time.
Yeah, just painting it the same as what's already there.
Yeah, in that case, you definitely need the hyphen.
Yeah.
To distinguish the massing.
Exactly.
Well, you got a good start.
Okay, so we just need just to confirm, you guys just want that separation between the two?
Yeah, and then we would need kind of final detailed elevations that show the window
Architectural
trim.
drawings.
Yeah,
Like, go to the permit office.
All right, that'll work. I appreciate it.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys. All in tonight.
And before we leave, for applications that are here from hearing tonight, you have an additional week for the deadline for January, not June. Wish it was June, for January, because the deadline's tomorrow technically. So if you would like to get in for January, you have an additional week to submit those, additional materials requested this evening, just to let you know. And if not,
I'm sorry, I can't hear you saying that. I apologize.
so our deadline is tomorrow for
Okay.
applicants here for the hearing. You have an additional week. So next Wednesday, if you
Okay.
submit the January
Okay.
month agenda.
Okay,
Okay, so just saying.
okay, perfect. Thank you. Awesome. Thank you, guys. You guys have a good night.
Thank
Thank you.
Item 13, GB-22-12-034, 751 South Lozelle Street.
Best dressed applicant for tonight.
And you raise your right hands. Now, do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You state your names.
My name is Gary Alexander. I'm the applicant.
My name is Jeffrey Stavroff. I'm the owner.
This application is GB 22-12-034, 751 South Lozelle Street. Application is to build a new addition off the northwest corner in the rear yard. The applicant has provided two options for the commission to consider which they prefer. I believe they prefer option 2.
Yes.
Existing addition was approved for construction in 1993. They also want to replace existing deteriorated shed with a new frame shed in the same location. The addition on the rear of the structure is not original and was built in 1993. At the past December business meeting, the committee requested the applicant to contact BCS if this addition would need a 3-foot side yard clearance or variance due to the eave overhang. Staff recommends the commission should offer design feedback that can be utilized by the applicant to further refine the proposal for a future GBC meeting. Just a quick note, the applicant did get back with us yesterday, basically to let us know that they did speak with zoning staff. And the setback on this lot that was established was for the existing building, and the 3-foot setback is not. Additionally, I believe the overhang can be a maximum of 2 feet at this location, and the applicant is confident they can meet that requirement. That's all I have.
Do you have anything else you want to add?
No, I mean, just to clarify, the The code, oh, that's okay. The code does permit that overhang as long as we don't go beyond 2 feet. So we will be just at 2 feet with the overhang. So we'll still be able to create eaves. The code does not allow us to put any openings in that wall. So that's why in both proposals, we would like to use a little heavier batten. So we would propose a 2x2 batten to get a little bit more shadow line across the elevation. We have them with a little greater frequency than sometimes is seen, also to create a little more variation on that elevation as well, since we can't have window. The shed, the current shed has a gambrel roof. I believe it was a just purchased shed. Its height is about 8 feet 9 inches. So we're trying to make our structure look a little bit more like a vernacular structure. So it has a pitch that's comparable to the house. We dropped the eave to keep the roof as low as we can, and then just a pop-up little dormer to get enough head height for the door.
The shed is 9'10".
Our current, I have that height on there.
Yeah,
That's
but-
9'10" on the elevator.
Just curious what the fence height is.
The fence I think it's a standard privacy fence, so I think it's 6 feet, yeah.
Yeah. Just curious, and then the shed, okay, it's gabled. So.
And we tucked a little window in there to just break the elevation up a bit.
And just to clarify, I missed, which option is preferred, the larger option?
The larger option for the kind of mudroom laundry expansion.
Gives you a little more storage.
It does, and it provides a little overhang. The roof wraps around and provides an overhang there at the back door.
I was wondering how you were gonna finish that, but I see the dashed line now.
Okay, all right.
It's wood batten.
It is the existing, well, we're going to use a cement fiber panel and then wood battens. The existing house is vinyl siding that's painted, so.
We allow that on main structures typically, does it?
How old is that addition off the rear?
That's
1993.
And that's the one that has vinyl siding with
The whole house, the
Okay.
whole house has vinyl and it was approved at some point. There's some documentation of its approval. Okay, so it's all.
Would be today.
It's all, I realize that. And that's, we're not bringing that back to you.
Right.
And the whole house is wrapped in it. It's been painted. It's monolithic in terms of.
So are you thinking like a boral, are you thinking a boral?
Um,
Hardy is what we have not liked on main structures, is that right?
Yeah, this doesn't finish well.
well, we can use, if the boral becomes a preference, we can use the boral sheet.
It holds up better.
Yeah, we just had, people haven't had good luck with the Hardy.
I know if you get it close to the ground, it really deteriorates with the moisture, but yeah, if that's a condition, we'll use that.
The Hardy would be okay on the shed. But I imagine if you're gonna buy boral, you have enough left over.
Yeah, if we do it one place, we'll do it both locations.
What's the foundation?
Most of the foundation, the siding is so low, it's barely visible. So if we go down to that height with our finished material, and you may have just a couple inches of visible.
Concrete or something?
If you want it to be, we can make it.
Or you just doing standard, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I haven't really thought about that.
We'll wanna know.
Okay.
I
Is
think
the
it's
block,
fairly-
if only a few inches is visible, would standard concrete block be acceptable, or do you want something textured there?
Where this is, it doesn't bother me too much myself.
No.
It's kind of, you're not gonna see it anywhere except your backyard.
if it helps, the addition that was added onto the rear of the house in 1993, where this proposed addition will be adjacent to. What Gary was saying is you can barely see any foundation on there, and that's a block, cinder block foundation.
Now, it does say the original application had it parged. Did it actually get parged?
Well, you can't see it.
That's like, you don't know.
If it was parged, it's below grade, because you can't, it just,
So it looks like they actually put the siding farther than down than what the application, the original application showed. And if you're matching that height, that's okay. I don't have personally, either option is okay.
you okay, are you okay with the storage structure?
Say again?
The storage structure, are you okay with that?
I
as well?
do personally. That's all I got.
Okay. And no other concerns? Okay,
Ask all the questions.
all right.
Yeah.
Real quick from staff, does the commission prefer either option, one or two over the other, or do not have issues?
Since it's wrapping around the 1993 edition and it's way in the back, we're all the larger one. And to get you a window, otherwise.
Yeah,
windowless.
that's right.
I would say to Teresa's point, if that was a historic component we're wrapping around, I would like it, but since it's not historic, then okay.
Okay.
All right, 93 is, all right, you're not quite 50 years.
Okay.
Thank you.
I want to, I'm amazed at how quickly you ran through the agenda. I'm sorry. We were-
Yes.
Another time.
The argumentative members are not here.
Say, that's Mr. That's
But I have to do this, they go quickly.
That's right.
Some people
So
aren't.
years ago, my wife was a member of the commission, but before she was chairperson, I can remember, Joe, when the meetings used to be in the German Village Society meeting. And I can remember going to meetings at 11:30, hoping to get her out of there by midnight.
Wow.
Well, I was in last year, I was in a Bexley zoning meeting. It was virtual. And our application was heard at 1:30.
Wow.
And they took a recess and one of the commissioners did not come back. And I think he fell asleep. Thank you.
Thank you.
I'm getting on to
See you later.
Any old business?
no old
Sounds
business.
like
Can we, do number 3 and number 9,
Need a table?
do either table or continue?
Oh. Do I have a motion to continue item 3?
Motion, so moved. Second.
You could have one, I don't care.
Whichever is necessary.
All in favor?
Aye. If you could approve that without.
And just number 9 as well.
Yeah.
Item 9, because 6 was tabled.
Yes.
That was before this meeting.
Correct.
Yeah. But
So was it tabled?
item 9 is still out there. So you need to continue that.
So was it actually tabled?
Item 6,
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was
Item
Juliet.
6.
Okay.
So we need a motion to continue item 9.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 This tabling is different from.
And it's taking it off.
Yeah.
Well, tabling requires a separate motion to take it off the table.
Yeah. Anything else?
Motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Yeah,
Okay,
thank you.
we're adjourned.
Thanks.
Weird.
Except, do we actually have to have a motion to adjourn?
Affordable housing.
Yes.
It's actually required.
Yeah.
It's Bexley, so.
Yeah,
The motion.
So motion.
But the vote was.
Yeah,
But
so,
you can do it without objection. And so motions to adjourn are an interesting procedural motion because they're not debatable. And so when someone is trying to stretch things and wear people down, a motion to adjourn is always